Dima again, psychologist, blah blah blah. If you want, then like and subscribe to the channel. Today we'll talk about quite a scary number on how many people are now struggling and will struggle with mental illnesses in Ukraine. And I want to start from, yeah, there's a big number. Washington Post wrote 3 years ago, yeah, 3 years ago, that 22% of people in countries have mental disorders. Mental disorders. Every fifth. So hard with, you know, keep moving in normal life, difficulties with everything. And it based on scientific report in Lancet. Here this report. Like these guys try to analyze data from, I know, probably most conflict affected zones in the last 30 years, as far as I remember. And they came to conclusion it's, yeah, 22%. There are different estimates, and it's varied from 15% to 30. And kind of nobody will care about it, when you come. Probably I'm doing this videos mostly to volunteers, I guess, and partly to business people who come to Ukraine trying to do something good, because that wouldn't be easy. I mean, if it would be easy, it's, we would be in a different place now. So you need to understand context. It's very kind of specific and unique context from a lot of point of views. And yeah, and now, because we are war zone, conflict zone, I think we are closer to 30%. I've seen last report of our Minister of Healthcare. They said it's now 50 something percent people show symptom like full PTSD symptoms, and so it's probably go lower to 30 in some point. But generally speaking, yeah, it's this is hardcore. And yeah, probably I need to show you something else. You, I mean, when you from Westport, and probably mostly from any kind of world except some hardcore totalitarian regimes, you wouldn't imagine what kind of situation here uh, with psychological and in general with humanitarian science. So I'll show you that there was yeah, science censorship. We can open political abuse of psychiatry. Uh, but so Stalin put ban on studying development psychology because they start testing intellect and so on, and they just banned it, forbade it in 30s, like 1930s or something. And then after Second World War, they developed great practices of political abuse of psychiatry. And I read when Soviet Union collapsed, just only in the first year in Ukraine there was 22,000 complaints. Again, 22,000 complaints on persecution people by false psychiatry, abuse. Then next year it was 18 or 15, and it's in a 10 years in decline. Now it's probably like 200 cases or something like a year. Like it's not that much, but we're not talking now about abuse, but about absence. Like I read book. Well, I didn't finish it, but I started reading it of some very prominent local psychiatrist. He was really kind of famous. His works was recognized in as a world, but he couldn't do any research on like working with people with drug addiction and problems with drugs because according to um, policy of party, uh, there was no drugs. Like there was no such a problem. So like why you need to do research and work with people with addiction if there's no problem? So there was no materials. If you are scientist, and if you're a scientist, of course you look like such a great building. Uh, then kind of yeah, whatever. No books, no science. If you want to do research, nobody will print it, anywhere. So you just kind of, so we have very low pedagogical knowledge in psychology because nobody can teach it. Like, and now 6 million people, I don't know, seven left, and of course it's females and kids. So you can guess that's like most psychologists was on a first train because they empathic and they kind of conflict zone is not place for psychologists. So yeah, so if you come here and start talking about I don't know even depression, people will look at you like blank eyes, like what? If you start talking about PTSD, like oh yeah, people will just start walking in a different direction. So you just chill and relax on this topic. um, um, yeah, scale of repression, 50,000. Yeah, here's 15, but again like. Безумная psychiatry, med psychiatry. Yeah, this is exactly what's going on. I mean, there are specialists for sure, but the system and system controlled by special organizations, and this is just uh, here. Yeah, this is fantastic number. So yeah, just fantastic. 800,000 patients was removed from psychiatry registry. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, some prison hospitals was under police jurisdiction, and they moved out of this jurisdiction only in 1988. Yeah, this is fantastic. In 1978, 4.5 million people through USSR were registered as psychiatric patients. In Kiev, there are 3 million people. Was before or now probably something like two. So yeah, it's kind of it's a quite problem. Nobody talk about it. We have super fantastic stigmatization about all this, and no knowledge, no education. Like people who get psychiatry education in this fantastic Soviet Union environment, they now like 50 and up, yeah, like in Ukraine. So yeah, so in 90s there was 20-year old. So you kind of need to guess the why and psychology in a yeah in developing level because economics of course like it's hard to be psychologist if people kind of it's hard because we have war from 2014, so you need to have and understand this context and probably it makes sense to read something about depression and PTSD. I kind of make probably with some recommendations this topic. Yeah, special hospitals under MVD control. This is fantastic. Ah, anyway, let's back to Lancet. So 30%, and it war drones flying anywhere. So like, and one more thing that you kind of need to understand, there are still. By the way, second thing that I strongly recommend is to read some books about what was Soviet Union because it was placed for 70 years. Like we kind of went through from village culture to industrial cities in this culture. So you need to understand some elements. For example, most people will be shocked about 101st kilometer. You ask me, Dima, what is this 101st kilometer? And I answer you, this is exactly distance where everybody who was like I don't know homeless, alcoholics, some kind of people with crime records sent away. Here they say like in when there was Olympic Games by basically s- just from beginning of USSR, there was rules that people with excuse me crime record couldn't stay in city. They have such a fantastic thing like propiska. Mm, yeah, from 1970, and so you just couldn't live in big city. So that's it. Done deal. And and it's still there. And if you find some babushka, she will be kind of very familiar to this culture, but she will never tell you. Yeah, the second thing, it's better not to talk to this topic if you don't know much people because they will be suspicious because everybody looking for spice. Like Soviet culture, based huge part of Soviet culture was mm, let me see, like spionomania, like uh, so they will think that you some kind of yeah, exactly, provocator or something. So it was part of we'll get there, but later. Like I don't want to talk about this topic, but Um, if you talk with young people, like under probably age 35 or 40, most of them wouldn't know this topic, but they will have kind of very weak understanding about what you're talking about because we still kind of didn't go through this contemplating what just happened to us. Mm, But yeah, you need to know that it's big difference between cultures. So 100. I read that in Kiev, in Ukraine, it was 50 kilometers, like from Kiev. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe 100, but um, that's why I'm talking to you about this. I'm talking about this because, yeah, and foreigners can live here, restricted areas, 25 kilometers in the city center. So that's why I said you that it's better to live in a downtown because that's where culturally still it's gone, but I mean the school's still there. Culturally, people kind of prefer, expect to see you there, and yeah, and I don't know. Oh, Voce billet. It's like temporary document that by this document you couldn't, live in any main city. Yeah, so and when you see like people like 50 years old, they was raised by parents mostly if you the local who kind of, been through this sad stories. Um, so if you came to Kiev, you need to understand it's kind of mentality. It's going for a long time. We have this half joke term, Potemkinska деревня, Potemkin village. It's a village where it's like Potemkin was kind of big friend of Catherine II, and he kind of was making fake villages with happy people, have fake rich villages when she had journey to Crimea in 1787. And in this way, nothing will change. If just be prepared that when you come to a city, you will be filmed, you will be profiled. From time to time, you will have like video taping and photo taping of your great personality. Your social profiles will be analyzed. Yeah, I that's for sure. I don't want to go deeper, but this will happen for sure, and for different reasons. And yeah, like and when kind of tourists came to was coming to Soviet Union, they go only to downtown and see these happy people like Potemkinska village. There are movie actually about some British journalists who illegally traveled to Ukraine during Holodomor famine, and you're watching this movie and saying like, what? Like it's like he travel like I traveled like in a different direction. You just sit in train and go to Moscow, and he traveled like it was heroic journey because he was spied, and um, yeah. So try to be careful, and now with YouTube, it's easier to see kind of some hardcore real life, but it's better to sense it. So if you want to sense it, try to travel like at least 50 kilometers from here. Here's 50 kilometers line here, and somewhere like here and further from Kiev, like if you can, like ask some friends. You need to see why, because I remember that when I was kid, I was walking. I live in this area, and I walked to Gnidin, and I was shocked. It was student times, and I was shocked that people just feeding cows there. It was just a real hardcore village back then. Now probably it's a little bit better. And there was not much difference in village where I was like a kid from my relatives' village, like quite far from my Kiev. So mm, yeah, like when you live in, especially when you live in downtown, you could get very wrong impression what's going on, and especially now when there are like military operations and so on. And I don't know. Uh, um, I'm thinking what else I can basically kind of this is main idea is it's and in military personations it will be the same problem like from 15 to 30% PTSD and depression. And next video I'll try to talk about the absence of any books on this topic in libraries. The electronic database, and you will see that there's nothing there except some, I don't know, very weak positions. And yeah, and nobody care about this too. And probably I'll talk later. I think I will do a video about general geographic to understand how you can probably get easier to Ukraine, like from west. I don't know if you can get. You probably can, like from Romania to Moldova to Odessa. Yeah. So yeah, and I've been in almost every like main city, big city in Ukraine. So probably we'll talk a little bit about other cities. Uh, okay, okay. Probably this video already long enough. See you then, guy.